give us a holler here. And then I'm going to have to pause the audio because YouTube is so nice that it automatically starts broadcasting and then you get a big echo. So hello, everyone. Welcome. And it looks like we're good to go.
Yay!
So hello, welcome. And we're so excited to have you with us for another busy webinar. We've got a lot of folks online for us today. Hello, Sarah. Hello to all of our friends. For everyone that's attending today live, or that's with us on YouTube watching live as well at youtube.com/busyweb. That's actually one of the things that I want to announce. There's some new YouTube news to remind me at the end, Trigvi. But if you have questions, be sure to ask those questions using the Q&A tool, and we will do our very best to make sure that we're getting to all of your questions. As we do once a month here, Trigvi and I get together and we chat about marketing topics. This is intended for the folks that are making decisions for their businesses in marketing. And we're really trying to do the best that we can to answer your questions from a up here level as well as tactical. So Trigvi is mirroring me. It's kind of fun. I can see myself backwards on YouTube or on Zoom, as well as Trigvi in the background too. So thank you all very much for hanging out. You might wonder who the heck we are. And I'm Dave. I'm the president and owner of BusyWeb, and we've had this little venture going for 23 years now. And we're based out of Minneapolis, technically Champlin, if you're local to the area. And it was almost 10 years ago now that Trigvi came into our lives. And Trigvi, tell us a bit about you.
Well, I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah.
I like long walks on the beach and quality conversion rates.
Me too.
Yeah. I've been here 8.5 years. I'm a HubSpot trainer. I'm also a HubSpot fellow, and I teach classes for HubSpot.
So HubSpot is over my shoulder there. We are platinum partners with HubSpot. Doesn't mean a whole lot to anyone other than other agencies where it's kind of a ranking show, but it means that we're in the top 1% of all folks that work with HubSpot. And if you have questions or needs on that, we'd love to chat with you, of course.
Also the most handsome.
I like to think so. At least Trigvi is. And I'm also a speaker and trainer with the Grow with Google Partner Program. And so
that's a hard get.
We are busy. One of 12 in the world that does this work for Google. So we take the savings and pass it on to you. To be completely cheesy. We're also in the middle of a five-day strategic level setting for BusyWeb, and so we might be a little cheeky this time around.
The COO let us out to do this, so we're probably going to be broadcasting for several hours.
Yeah, just to have.
Please don't make us go back.
All right, enough chicanery, enough gobbledygook.
Let's talk about sales and marketing.
Yeah, so what we want to talk through today, and what we promised as part of the sign up, is we're going to help you walk through setting a plan for 2023. One of the things that we deal with for our clients is the all-encompassing marketing that you do and how to drive revenue. Over the past 23 years, BusyWeb has kind of grown from just a web design company to a web and marketing company to a inbound company to a sales enablement organization. And so what sales enablement means is we help you drive traffic and leads, but then we also help you convert. And so we want to talk to you from that level today about what it takes to not just get traffic, but to actually grow your revenue for the coming year. And it takes planning.
And the right kind of traffic too.
Yeah, because I can get you 1 million hits from all kinds of countries that are far too far away for you to work with, especially if you're a US-based company that does everything in person, right? So we want to find the actual real leads. So first, we're going to go through identifying objectives for 3 levels: for your company, for your marketing team, and your sales team. We're not going to get too heady with this, and I would love to get questions from attendees for this because I think it's going to be important. So what we'll probably do is ask you for what you're looking to do inside of your organization. And I won't mention names on that part because I don't want to risk sharing any company secrets. But if you have something that we can help with as far as sharpening up a objective or a goal, happy to do so. as well, we also are going to talk through how to review campaigns. So how to set a benchmark. And if you were an attendee of one of our past HubSpot user groups, Jen, our delightful COO and expert of all things HubSpot, walked through how to set up campaigns a couple months ago, and that is available on our YouTube channel if you want more
really
information. It is so magical once you identify, this tweet actually impacted $500,000 in revenue for our business.
You're spoiling
right?
it.
Yeah. So I love doing spoilers.
Yeah.
Don't ever watch Game of Thrones or whatever the House of Dragons thing with me.
He's a
'cause I'll tell
chatter.
you all the stuff.
He likes chatting.
Exactly. And then setting goals. Service level agreements are a big part of goal setting, especially when you talk across the sales organization. And so we're going to talk about how to get all that stuff done. I missed anything, Trig?
No,
Okay,
so
perfect.
it sounds great. So I think the first thing we want to talk about is what happened last year.
Yeah. How'd we do?
So I am in a lot of ways, depending on how you think about it, very good, very sophisticated. And sometimes I'm kind of a big dummy. So I like to think of this in terms of piles. So in any year, we have a big pile of money that we got. Throw all the money on the pile. And the big pile of money, that's the company's objective.
Right.
How much
Right.
money did we make?
Mhm.
Then we start separating it into other little piles. So how much new money did we get? That's
Mhm.
from the sales department.
Mhm.
And we need to qualify that because we need to understand how much money they can throw on the pile.
Mhm.
I spent a lot of time doing my leaves.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna probably have a lot of leaf pile.
Right. Will we be able to
Things-
jump in the pile of money?
Boy, I'd love to, but Scrooge McDuck doesn't return my phone calls.
All right.
Third part is, and this is often overlooked, is the old money. What money do we have? And how is our account managers? How is our service people? How are they keeping that money coming in?
Mhm.
And then really the marketing department's job is how do we help keep the old money? How do we keep the new money, but feeling good and being in our pile?
Right.
I recognize that this is greatly simplistic, but we need to understand, first of all, in 2022, was our pile as big as we needed it to be? Was our pile as big as we thought it was going to be? If not, that's really good information to go to the next step.
Right.
If it is, great, then it's good to know. We don't have to change anything. Don't have to go into the deep navel gazing of understanding what went wrong.
Right. Perfect.
So as we're starting this process, it's really good to understand where did we come from? How did we get here?
Dig it. Okay.
Next,
I think what we want to do next is really come down to what the objectives are for growth for your organization. And so knowing the new money that you need and how that works is going to get you a list of tactics. And you want to look at this from, are your personas hitting the right spots? Are you connecting with the right people? Are the people that you're reaching with your marketing the actual decision makers? You'll see this a lot with, kind of bad bounce rates. If you have a well-attended webinar that winds up not having any CTAs that get followed, or if you have an email that goes out and people review the email, they open it, but they don't actually click through to anything, you're probably just not hitting the right people with that message. So looking at what that contact is and who you're reaching and at what phase of the buyer's journey they're in. Are they just considering and trying to figure out if they even need a solution? And so are they just doing research? Are they doing comparison analyses and trying to actually figure out who you're reaching and what it takes, or what is that, right? And then where you're connecting with them to get to the next step. And a lot of times this is where the marketing systems and the sales enablement, what we like to call the choose your own adventure stuff, where you're giving people automatic responses based on what they're doing inside of your marketing mix. If they're opening your blogs, if they're downloading your white papers, if they're responding to your emails, that's great, impactful information on how to keep growing. So, and then of course, the third thing, and Trig, you want to talk about this, is account management, how to keep people happy, right?
right. Yeah. So this is often overlooked, and anytime when we come into an organization trying to help with growth strategies is, what are you doing to make sure that the people aren't leaving? Well, how are you keeping them engaged? How are you keeping them continuing to buy from you? oftentimes what you'll see is companies, if you're not connecting with your existing customer base about every 90 days, they're no longer your customer. They're somebody else's customer. They're just waiting to be plucked. So making sure from a tactical level that you continue to work with them and making sure that they're continuing to be engaged with you, because that's the worst thing you can hear from a company is, oh,
Mhm.
I didn't know you did that.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
That's yeah,
And it's 10 times easier, right?
right.
To get an existing deal to work with you, or someone that already knows you to work with you again.
And from a marketing standpoint, I think the marketing's job again is as I say here, just really how does it support all levels of the organization? Marketing
Mhm.
shouldn't just be a front of the top of the funnel enterprise.
Right.
How you make people feel is now in 2022 and going
Mhm.
into 2023 is at a critical part of every single part of the entire customer journey.
Absolutely. And it's there's ways to find that stuff out now. So, making sure that
Really?
you're connecting is amazing.
Let's find it on the next slide.
Let's do that. All right. So, I need to actually click the right button. So
I know it's
I love this. Yeah.
I know it's painful to want to look back, and you never really want to look back. It's kind of like hearing yourself on a recorded message. You're like,
Mhm.
God, I really don't want to do that. But I read an essay once by the magician Penn Jillette, who
Mhm.
said that Hollywood has it completely wrong.
Mm.
Real men, real tough guys, they aren't the ones who bear through the pain. They're the ones who go to the doctor and
Mhm.
have some 26-year-old just out of med school explain to them what's wrong
Mhm.
and get the answers. That's how you
Mhm.
overcome it. So
Mhm.
actually doing this is it's not the most fun thing in the world, sure, but it is necessary to do.
Mhm.
The reason you're doing that is because you're benchmarking. If you
Mhm.
know how good you are overall in terms of
Right.
money piling, set new money, old money piling, then you can make realistic movements for 2023. If you
Right.
don't,
Mhm.
if you suddenly need 180 times as much as you've ever gotten before, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have to change some things.
Right.
So the important thing is to be optimistic, but realistic.
Yep.
So you can still plan on having your best possible year, but if you need your best possible year plus 15, plus 20%,
Mhm.
then you maybe need to look at things. And again, just to reiterate, the biggest revenue driver that you have is your existing customer base.
Yep.
For new sources of revenue, for keeping existing revenue, and then referring additional new revenue to you.
Right. And we're going to talk about campaigns in a little bit, but this is some of where campaigns can be incredibly helpful, right? So the tool that we like to use is called HubSpot. And inside of HubSpot, when you have marketing tools inside of HubSpot, you can set campaigns to know what actually did generate the revenue. And same thing on sales. If you have any CRM, you can look through and say, okay, well, what kind of deals in our pipeline actually closed,
Yeah.
and how much revenue
How much time
was
did I
there
spend on it?
actually connected with? Yeah. So knowing that is incredibly important. And if you think about, or if you're kind of like me and you're struggling to look back right into the past and say, okay, well, what does all this mean? It might be time just to talk to an outside partner that can give you a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And speaking as a business owner who is right in the middle of our annual planning for 2023. We're going right back to it after we're done with this session. You need to have different perspectives, and in order to do things differently, you have to think slightly differently. And sometimes getting outside advice would be helpful. And I'll throw that out there as probably the second self-serving thing that I'll say out of maybe 3 today. Talk to us if you have any of those questions. And I'm always happy, and Trigby's always happy to have
Was
those.
the first self-serving
chats.
thing that we were handsome?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was it.
Got it.
So if you need help with any of this stuff, we would love to just brainstorm with you. That's not a revenue thing for us. It's just, I believe firmly that the more people I help in this world, the luckier I get. And that's how I grow my
And the
business.
smarter
So
we are.
let us help you if you need something. All right. So next, here's the deal. You really need to connect with your people and talk to not only the executives in your company, but the people that are actually doing the work, that are having the best connections, that are actually interacting with your customers. And we work with a lot of B2B service businesses, businesses that work with other businesses and provide expert services. And the people that are actually talking to your clients know way more than you do if you're an exec.
Way more.
And they can give you insights on what people really want to hear, what the pain points are, and what else they might want to do with you. And it might not be for that org. You might have a client that says, I'm never going to be able to afford to do this, but man, I really wish I had this kind of intelligence. And you can take that to a different client. What else do you want to?
Well, the people, I think, is also internally. You talk to the people, your staff, and really have a conversation with them and really listen to them and say, what do you need to do your job better? If you need 10% more out of these people, figure out how to get them to buy in on it. And one of the ways that you can do that is, offering some comp changes, offering a bounty. If you can help cross-sell, upsell new opportunities. That's a great way to create new revenue in 2023. And then you not only do you have more money coming in, but you've also got a more engaged workforce who's always looking to help the company grow. That's
one of the best revenue drivers that we actually have. Trygve and I are out pounding the pavement and making new connections all the time, but solid 20% of our businesses come from people that know us and that have either, it's an internal, we actually had one of our brand new employees at the time call us up and say, my buddy's company needs help. I know that I do this work and I'm not going to be working with them at all, but can you talk to them? And it wound up being a fantastic connection. So, make sure that you reward that.
The third, and I think I may be beating a dead horse here, but change is hard. But it's not that hard. It's also not bad. And the killer here is pride. And if you ever, as you're examining your processes and you talk about, well, this is always the way that we've done it, that's not an acceptable reason to keep doing something.
Not at all.
What is an acceptable reason to keep doing it is if it's making you money and you can clearly point to that. So in order to do that, leverage your technology as smartly or as you can. So what I mean by that is understanding the one source of true data in your organization should be your CRM. CRM should work and play well with everybody. Everybody should be working on the same information. That's not just marketing. That's your service people. That's your accounting people. That's your sales people. That's your marketing people. Everyone needs to be working with the same level of that. If you don't have, if you have those systems that are disconnected, that's causing more work, more time, more effort. You should probably stop doing that.
Yep. Absolutely. And just the Franken marketing thing is a real deal. There's a lot of task switching costs that comes into having, 5 or 6 different tools. If your website doesn't talk to your contact database and you don't know who's visiting your website, if your email marketing tool only gives you open rates and it doesn't let you know who you're actually interacting with so that your sales team knows who is engaged, you're missing it. And so it doesn't have to be expensive to do this either.
Speaking of, one of the things that we're trying to do in 2023 is we're rolling out a podcast and to supplement this. And so one of the things that we are doing is because, who do you think likes change more than 2 middle-aged guys is really, I think literally anybody. So we're actually going to be interviewing a change management expert to lay out really how organizationally we can survive and adapt to change.
Right. And I'm seeing quite a few of our friends on as attendees today. If any of you would like to be interviewed on our podcast, we'd love to have you. So
hit me up.
Send us a note and we'll give you our contact info at the end. All right. So let's talk about campaigns. I teased this a little bit, but again, we have a full YouTube video that's on the BusyWeb YouTube channel that talks about campaigns. So I'm not going to get into nitty gritty here. I'm going to talk about the top things that you need to know, right? So you do a lot of things as a revenue driving activity for your business. That might be marketing, that might be sales, it might be different kinds of sales. It might be trade shows. That's kind of gone away over the past couple of years, but it's starting to come back. So look at what's actually been driving revenue for you. And if you don't have a way to do that, then you need to at least poll your sales team and probably your anecdotal results from your marketing team to say, what were our big winners this year?
Mhm.
If you want actual data, you should be tying into a real CRM. And of course, you know who I like. Well, I can always point the wrong direction on that. That way. And then identify what those metrics are that you're tracking toward. It's probably not just hits on your website, right? So there's vanity metrics like hits that you can use. A lot of marketing agencies honestly will just give you that much and say, well, your traffic's up 33% this year. And it doesn't really give you
That's the
anything.
worst Goofy impression ever.
I didn't even try to do Goofy. I could do a decent Goofy.
Really?
Gosh, I don't know.
It's not that bad.
But if you are looking for the actual tactics, you know, even looking for your SEO rankings, you know, being number one for a BS keyword isn't going to help you. And again, a lot of marketing agencies will give you that and they'll just say, well, look, you rank for purple monkey dinosaur. So that's a blog post if you want to search for
I had
purple
dinner
monkey
at
dinosaur.
BS keyword the other night.
All right.
Good
perfect.
burgers. Quality.
I played bass for BS keyword in college. Traffic, conversion, really revenue is what you want to look at. And so having a CRM again that you can trust and building backwards from that is going to be very, very helpful. And again, if you don't have a CRM yet, what you need to do is just look at your biggest deals that you've had over the past year and say, well, how did they find out about us?
Mhm.
You know, was it an existing customer? A big chunk of them is going to be that. But where did they find us? Where did they hear about us? And if you don't have ready-made metrics around that, you can start with HubSpot
You
for
should
free.
get some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know, the free version of the CRM doesn't require anything other than a little bit of time to load up your contacts and start measuring. And then of course, once you figure out what you're doing and how it's working, you do need to align and make sure that you're setting new goals based around what that is. So,
Well, I, for one, Dave, I think I speak for everyone.
yeah,
I don't really want to do any of this.
right.
I'm tired, and
Mhm.
every ad is campaign this, campaign this, campaign that. I'm just sick of it. I don't.
That leads us to a special break in our
What?
presentation, right? Oh, yeah. So,
Oh, thank goodness.
yeah, it's going to be okay.
Woo!
We've got a week until everything, you know,
All right.
until the finger pointing starts back up again on different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much noise in the market. There's so much noise in the media. There's so much noise about all of these things. You know, all you need to do is, you know, search for social media and you're going to see, you know, Elon Musk carrying a sink into the front doors of Twitter. What does that mean for you? It doesn't mean anything, right? So
Do
you
they
have
not
to
have sinks there?
his whole thing. So if you missed the meme that Elon was trying to do, he bought Twitter last week and he walked in carrying a sink, and the tweet that he put out was, Elon is in the building, let that sink in.
That seems like something we would have wrote
That's
for him.
terrible. Yeah, that's just terrible.
You could do a lot better
But-
with this kind of money.
Yeah, you definitely
That's
could.
a joke that you and I would do.
Uh-huh. So it's going to be okay. And so just remember to level set and to ignore a lot of that noise, ignore a lot of the doom and gloom, because
Totally.
you can't be frozen by terror. And depending on, you know, what your relationship with the media is, if you're a constant consumer or if you're a casual consumer of what you connect with, you know, you're either terrified or you're mildly annoyed. But
Political
regardless, it's not
campaigns
gonna
have
happen.
that interesting thing that doesn't really work in business,
Mhm.
which is a 30-second commercial about how my competitor down the street sucks.
Mhm.
That's not going to make me money. That's just
Mhm.
going to so
Right.
we can get back to growth and we can get back to actually building
Right.
things. Starting on Tuesday.
Yep. It'll happen.
Whoever you vote for, make sure to vote.
Yeah, please. And that gets us back into our tactics. So as you're looking through the past year and trying to build forward, what did work the best for you? You're going to have a few standouts. Trigvi, your buzzwords,
Yeah, so one of the things that we really like to specialize in is this funky chicken word called revenue attribution. And Dave was going to spoil that earlier, but with sophisticated enough systems, what you should be able to do in theory is to be able to say that X number of campaign turned into Y amount of dollars.
Mhm.
And then
Right.
you really are cooking with gas from a marketing standpoint, because then you're really being able to put dollar figures, not just whether open rates or
Mhm.
click-through rates or anything like that, actual dollar figures.
Right.
So the concept is called revenue attribution. It's one of the things that having a sophisticated system like HubSpot can really help you with, but it's definitely something that if you can take advantage of, you absolutely should
Mhm.
as you're planning on 2023. One of the things that and that doesn't always necessarily mean the thing that's going to get you the most money or the most
Right.
or the most traffic.
Right.
One of the things that we have just absolutely been chained with here at BusyWeb, and it's been happening for years now, hands down, far and away, our most well-trafficked site is a blog post we wrote about 15 funny out of office emails. And we can't get away from it. We
Yeah.
can't get away from it, but that doesn't make us any money. So the goal of revenue attribution is actually putting money on the table and making sure that the money that you brought in, that you can actually dial it back to where did it come from.
Mhm.
Then as you're talking about adding budget, blowing out more details, updating old successful materials, if you know what's working, and like for instance that 15 message that was actually making us money, that's great. We could add 15 more. We could
Right.
put more money towards advertising it.
Mhm.
We could add more updates in 2023, things like that. So if you've got a campaign that has been successful in the past, how can you reuse it? How can you repackage it to move forward? And so some of the times you'll see that some of the campaigns that are really winning from a marketing standpoint aren't winning from a revenue standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's
Sure.
okay.
Mhm.
But also you should know that, and you should know that that's just a marketing campaign. That's not a revenue campaign.
Right.
And is it still relevant? Is it still necessarily a winner
Right.
as you're evaluating whether to go into 2023?
And keeping your fingers on that pulse is incredibly important, because these are health metrics
Yep.
for your business. This is, are you running a fever, or do you have the sniffles? Your doctor goes in and he asks how you're feeling and what you're doing. And your business has metrics that has symptoms on what's working well. I'm feeling great. I got lots of energy, or I'm not getting the leads that I want. I've got this weird buzzing in my ear. In our case, it's the out of office message.
Yep.
Does that really generate revenue for us? No. Have we tried to ease in a few better comments on that one and maybe focus it more on our market? Yes. Does it really change anything? No. But hey, we still get thousands of views on a random out of office thing. And by the way, if you want out of office messages, go ahead and search for out of office messages and you'll find us on the web.
Please don't. Please don't.
If you do, just comment and say thanks, Dave and Trigby, and that way we'll know that it's from this.
Please don't. But what I think one of the things that a lot of times you see is if you have a great winning campaign, a lot of times you might want to add some like topical funnies, like, we talked about Elon Musk as we're recording this, that just happened a week ago, but somebody might be watching it a year ago. That's no longer really relevant. So what we try and recommend is making sure that your campaigns are as evergreen as possible. So what's an evergreen marketing campaign, Dave?
So evergreen is things that don't change their effectiveness if it's this week or next month or next quarter. Right. So building a campaign, especially if you're looking to optimize or leverage your search engine optimization, it's important not to do things that are too topical, because SEO in and of itself takes up to 6 months to fully leverage. If you decide I really want to rank for XYZ keyword, it'll take you about 6 months to fully be as high up on the rankings as you're going to get. Right. So having a all-in kind of general campaign is going to be super helpful for you. But you can also boost some of that with a little bit of topicality and time base out of social media, right? You can do a TikTok, you can do a tweet, you can do an email to your clients that is relevant. But just remember that your big marketing campaigns should probably be more evergreen so that it's relevant no matter when people find you. We're trying to make this a little bit time compressed for you today so that you can get out and have some of your afternoon back, because it's just gorgeous in Minnesota right now. It's going to be 77 today. But let's keep rolling. So the ranking metrics, again, we're talking through what you need as far as the measurements that really matter. So who cares if you're number one for the wrong thing? Right? So revenue attribution is important, knowing what things actually drive new business and what tactics, what campaigns are keeping your sales team as busy as possible.
And not
is
for nothing,
important.
if you're working with a marketing agency that doesn't understand how to translate from one point to the next, you really shouldn't be working with that marketing agency.
Right. It's lazy to just focus on tactics and to say, well, we ranked you number one on this keyword. Who cares? Right. And especially if it's not generating revenue. If you keep coming back to your agency and are saying, yeah, but I'm not getting anything, you need to have a conversation with them and say, let's brainstorm a little harder to figure out what we can actually do. And if you get blank stares, then maybe it's time to talk to somebody else. And so if you don't even do some of the things that you're ranking for anymore, you need to look through that and pull yourself out of that. You can use Google Search Console to
And that's okay.
delist keywords.
Businesses change.
If you haven't changed, you're in trouble.
We used to offer website hosting. We don't do that anymore.
Right. So some of our clients that might be hosting with us will be contacting you about that. Aligning with your key goals, knowing what you're getting for the coming year. We love talking about the flywheel at BusyWeb, and that's, how are you attracting, engaging, and delighting your customers, and doing that over and over again to grow your business. You need to think about your entire team and how things work together. So look at your successes, look at what you're doing inside of your products, and are you ranking for the right things? We talked about this already, but going back to your personas, are you still reaching the right people? And are those people the decision makers in creating more revenue for your business, right? Are they actually going to be able to say yes? Or if you can't reach those people because they're the CEO, then how can you influence and give the people that are influencers to the decision makers as much information as possible so that they feel good about recommending you? And then we're going to talk about service level agreements right now.
Yeah, that's what you mean by SLA, right?
Right. Service level agreements is what you do. It's, I hereby, as marketing person, promise to deliver so many leads to you. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But how is that translation going? Smarketing is a keyword that I think our friend Dan Tyre created, right? And Trigvi has a class that he runs in Dan's stead. So when you're working in a marketing organization or when you're marketing for a company, the tendency is just to blame sales on any revenue shortfalls.
They don't know what they're doing.
And sales, of course, blames marketing.
Because the leads are bad.
So what are you going to do, right? So what you need to do is approach this from a cohesive strategy. You're all on the same team. You're on team revenue.
Service of the logo.
How do you get people to work together? Well, the biggest thing is by delivering service level agreements. And these are promises that elicit what each team is going to do. And so from marketing to sales, the most common is how many leads does a sales rep need in order to make quota, right? So if you're looking for a way to do that, you just take how much revenue you need by the average revenue per customer. And that gives you how many customers you need. How many customers do you need? And the average lead to customer close, how many views, clicks, how many visits to our website do we need to get a certain amount of leads? That gives you the amount of leads that you need. And so marketing, promise to bring you, salesperson, 80 new leads per week or whatever.
And salesperson, before I dismiss you and tell you that the leads are weak, promise that I will call and email them 3 or 4 times
right
before coming back to you and telling you that you don't know how to do your job.
Right. And Again, your CRM will measure this for you. You know, we build this with our clients, and that's part of the things that we train them on. You know, you need to look at how many leads that sales team is getting and how many touches that lead gets and within what time frame. And there are actually really cool reports that you can build that'll just tell you that. And you can look at the pie graphs and charts and look at it from a dashboard perspective. So sample service level agreements, marketing is going to deliver 100 MQLs to each sales rep per month. That's pretty good, right? And MQLs is marketing qualified leads. These are leads that we all agree are good leads that you want. So anytime someone fills out a form on your website, that's usually shorthand for a good MQL. And then sales is going to make 1 attempt to engage within 4 business hours and then 5 attempts within the following 2 weeks. All easy to measure if you have a system and a tool to do that. So make sure that you're asking those questions. Make sure that you're holding yourselves accountable for revenue in the coming year. Know that you know your audience, know your personas, know what you're going to deliver, and make sure that you're attaching and connecting with people at every stage of the buyer's journey. And then simply measure how well you're doing, and that'll give you everything you need. Now, one thing that we usually get as a question inside of this, and again, you're welcome to please ask questions if you have them. We still have a ton of attendees
Put
here.
the chat pane if you have a question.
Either in chat, or if you can't chat, use Q&A. But one of the things that we get is, how do I know how many leads I need? And so we have a handy calculator that we can give you. So if you go to BIT,
our gift to you.
Boom. If you go to bit.ly/busycalc, that's a lead calculator. It's actually a Google Doc that you can import how much revenue you're looking for, and then your conversion ratios. Some of these you're going to have to guess at probably, especially if you haven't worked with a real growth agency before. But put in those numbers, and that'll tell you how many visits you need to your website, and how many leads you need, and how many leads each sales rep needs in order to hit the revenue that you're looking for.
It's a neat opposite funnel, kind of like a pyramid of success.
Super. I mean, it's a real eye opener once you plug it all in. And while people are coming up with questions, of course, again, remember, go to bit.ly/busycalc for that info. I don't see any questions on YouTube, so I think we're okay there. Here's how to keep in touch with us. We promised to give you our info. You can hit us at Trygve or Dave at busyweb.com. And if you email me or Trygve, if you want this deck to bring to your team, I'd be happy to share that with you in a PDF as well.
Yep.
So just send us an email. Let us know how we can help you. Any questions? You know, if you want to raise your hand, we can actually, I think what I'll do is, if someone wants to talk, I will stop the live stream so that you're not recorded on YouTube, but we would love to take a couple of questions if you have them. So raise your hands in YouTube or in Zoom if you'd like to actually chat, or we'll just hang on for another couple of moments and then we'll close down the chat.
Kind of where we took this from a thought perspective was we just needing more money, needing more things, adding more budget. People are just going to say no, you can't have more money.
Right.
Well, what I need more resources. Well, why? Well, I need it for these reasons. If you could put data around that, then you're making a much more a concerted effort to build the case for what you really need. And so that's why we went through it, all of these from a marketing and sales perspective, because those are really the revenue drivers. Right. The front of the house operations, the things that are really making a difference in terms of continuing relationships and continuing to drive money.
And as a special super insider secret trick for marketing folks, if you're looking for a little bit more revenue, making real good friends with sales is a fantastic way to do that, because I've never met a company that doesn't have a budget for sales. Marketing sometimes tends to be a redheaded stepchild of the growth generation tactics, but sales never runs short on budget. So if you can make real good friends with budget and with sales and approach it from a cohesive perspective, you'll find ways to get more leads to the sales team. And that's how you need to approach it. Perfect. Everybody's feeling shy, or we nailed it. So
nailed it.
Thanks everybody for attending. We've got another busy webinar coming up next month. It is trends and what to expect in the coming year. We've had our fingers on the pulse, and I'm hearing some really interesting things with Google. The thing that I mentioned before that I teased at the very beginning, YouTube is now offering catch handles to everyone. So if you have a channel that doesn't have 100 followers yet, you are now, you should have received an email saying apply for your handle here. So youtube.com/busyweb, check out all of our
Actually,
stuff.
they've gone away from vanity URLs now.
Yeah.
So it's just handles now.
Yeah, it's all you get. And if you had a vanity URL before, which we've had forever because we've had enough subscribers, they'll just use that one. So youtube.com/busyweb will get you right to us. Remember to check out that campaign strategy or that campaign video if you're interested in more about that. Thanks, everybody. Hope this helped you generate buzz without getting stung. Peace out. See you next month. Bye.